Guys, before we get into the video, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed and has helped me reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I literally couldn't have done it without you. My next goal is my next goal is 5,000 subscribers. So if you're watching this and you ain't subscribed already, come on man, help me get to 5,000. Let's do this. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into this video. Before we get into the video, you can also catch me on TikTok and Instagram. So yeah, you can follow me on those platforms as well. So yeah, anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into this video. 997 Turbo Tiptronic 680 brake animal. Peace. Thank you so much for coming on the channel, and thank you for bringing this gorgeous 997 Turbo. Now, if anyone's seen the thumbnails, you know that this turbo is kind of special, and the reason why you're here is because this is the first modified Porsche that I've got on my channel. I mean, bar mine where I've just put some coilovers on it, but this is like seriously modified. So yeah, I'd really love to know the story behind this car, Abs. Yeah, how did you end up with such an amazing 997 Turbo?
Great, thanks for having me first of all. I've always wanted a first generation 997 Turbo, especially modified. I had my eyes on the modification scene for many years. About 10 years ago or so, I was sort of a second-hand experiencing someone else's 997 Turbo getting modified. And they were sort of in the early days of the variable geometry turbines, what they can do. And fast forward about 5 years or so, and I was after one myself, purely because I wanted a project. I wanted to see how much power I could squeeze out of it. And I remember the limitations from what he had before, and in specific, he had troubles with the intake temperature. Anyway, I've got my eye out for quite a while just for the perfect project, and prices sort of fluctuating up and down. And in the end, I saw this one for sale on the 911 UK website. I hit the guy up straight away. The only caveat for me was that it was a Tiptronic, and I had no sort of experience with automatics, let alone a Tiptronic in a high performance supercar, so to speak. So I've sort of arranged with the bloke to go and meet him. And I've sort of done it ad hocly. You know, everyone says when you're going to spend a lot of money on a car, you get a PPI done and you bore scope this and you check that. As I arrived, I was sort of blown away. I was blown away.
Was you like sold straight away?
I was pretty much. I did try and keep my head on my shoulders. So I sort of went through the documents.
You went with your heart, didn't you?
Indeed, it's one of them things. Indeed, and on the advert, it was relatively vague, which is what I found strange as well. And even when I was on the phone to the fella, he was relatively vague about all the details. It's only as I started looking through the folder of mods and work that's been done to it, I realised that he's not listed all of the modifications on the advert. I didn't say too much because I thought I don't want to sort of ruin the deal. So we went out for a test drive and I was sold. Simple as that, I was sold. So I got car home, and I'd already booked in some quarter mile stretches to do. And because I hadn't had the car sort of up on a ramp and whatever, I didn't push the car too hard, but it performed flawlessly. And especially remembering back to how I secondhand lived through the other fella's 997 Turbo, I was sort of blown away. So the car as it is now, it has a dual map, a 650 not on sport, 680 on sport mode, which is water meth. So that cools down the intake temps. So I think it's 52 degrees. If the intake temps go beyond 52 degrees, it retards the engine. But it's got all the bolt-ons you can imagine. So from the back, you're talking about the exhaust. It's a 200 cell catted exhaust with the matching headers from Car Graphic. You're also talking about it's running full IPD Y pipe, intake plenum and throttle body. And it's got hybrid turbos, which are GT2RS turbos, but they've got a billet wheel and motorsport bearings, which is what makes it hybrid. So had a bit of work done to it. And GT2RS intercoolers as well.
So was all this work done prior to you receiving the car?
So a lot of it was done, but I think the previous owner, he wasn't sort of very in tune with the Porsche world. No offense to him whatsoever. And I had it up on a ramp, and there was work to be done. Lo and behold. So
needed a bit of tidying up.
Yeah, precisely. The turbos needed work doing to them, and that was a bit worrying for me, because if I had decided to do it myself, I would have installed new turbos. But both turbos were leaking as such, so they both needed to come out, and I was lucky enough to get them reconditioned. So they came out, went back in. The intercoolers were also leaking, and I had to get them both replaced. And I had an issue with the suspension. There was a knocking noise. I bought it like that as well. And I thought it was something as simple as a drop link. But in the end, I ended up replacing the complete kit.
So you pretty much just like refreshed all of the mods that the car came with. You just updated and repaired them and added.
Definitely. I mean, there's still scope for some more work. I mean, when you've got a car for a little while, you do tend to sort of think, what can I do here, what can I do there? And I think next on the list of a big buys would be maybe a new set of exhaust. I've seen the one that I've always wanted is a Capristo exhaust, because you can really hear the turbos whistle, and this is a bit restrictive in that way. So who knows? So
is this your daily, or?
It's not my daily. It's more of a weekend car. I mean, I'm not afraid to bring it out in the rain, as you can see. I just want to enjoy the car. We all do, really and truly.
So what was your car history like before you had this? Like, what was it like the first car that you owned? So like going back in time.
I was always been into the V-dub scene.
I knew it.
From when I was young.
You can always tell a V-dub man.
Honestly, if I could go back in time, one car I'd rebuy and go through the whole story again would have been a Mark II Golf. They are phenomenal. The first Mark II Golf I picked up, I paid £400 for it. It was
you can't get them
hunk
for
of junk.
It's been 10 grand now, like decent spec ones.
Oh man, I love that car. Really love that car. But yeah, I've ended up with this now. Who knows what the future where you end up. But this for now is a keeper.
It is nice, man. I love it. Right, so one controversial question I need to ask is, what made you decide to go for a Tiptronic? Because a lot of purists say that manual gives you the best sort of driving experience. It gives you the best connection with the road and the car. And we all know that the PDK is like the pinnacle of like, you know, auto shifting in Porsche, and Tiptronic was sort of like the prehistoric era. But what made you decide to go for a Tiptronic, and a Tiptronic with 680 brake?
Good question. So, like I said, I'd never driven an automatic before, and I was always a bit worried about what the internet said. But when I took it out for the test drive, I drove. I was insured, and I drove the car as well. And I tried at the time to sort of see what the pitfalls were of the Tiptronic. I couldn't really see much, but as I've sort of matured with the car, the differences I do notice is that in a manual, if you want more oomph, you'd know mentally yourself, I'm going to drop a gear. Whereas with the Tiptronic, you can get a little bit lazy and just let it do what it wants to do. So you can, for example, coming out of a roundabout, you can be one gear too high. But the more you know the car, the more you're able to sort of predict, and the more you're able to you can shift down and up, and do what you need to do.
So I've never driven a Tiptronic, and I've never driven a PDK Porsche. Like, I've got a Golf and it's got a DSG, so I know, if I'm going to get around that and I want to give it a bit and I floor it, it will jump down a gear and give me that power. But what's that like in a Tiptronic then?
So if I'm in third and I want to overtake somebody, it's the way that it's been mapped is done by Unicorn Motor Development. So he's done a fantastic map.
Yeah.
So in non-sport, the car will hold the gear to a certain revs. So and in a turbo, the revs can go pretty high.
Yeah.
And so it will hold until that revs, into the RPM, and then it will switch gear. But during that journey, you will hear the turbo spooling,
right.
And you will really get a kick, the turbo kick. If you're talking about speed, comparing it to a PDK, the car, it dynos at 1 to 200 in 5.4 seconds. Comparatively to a PDK, you'd be looking at 4.9 seconds.
Right.
So are you going to notice that?
Not
Yeah, precisely.
Really.
If it's purely a speed thing you're after,
yeah,
there is no issues with. Plus, you get it's a bit of a creature comfort not having to put your foot on the clutch every time you're stopping at a red light or wherever it may be. But at no point have I been driving the car thinking to myself, I wish it was a manual.
Yeah, no one in auto does that.
Precisely.
Anyway, Abs, thank you so much for coming on the channel and bringing this amazing car. It's been a pleasure chatting to you. And yeah, you've got me thinking about a turbo now, you know, like everybody I interview, I always walk away thinking, you know what, I can get one of those, I go home, drop straight on Auto Trader and start looking at them, you know. But yeah, it's such a beautiful example.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Guys, we've reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Big thanks to Abs for bringing down his Tiptronic 997.1 680 brake Porsche 911. Car is absolutely amazing. Comparing it to mine, which is just a general C4S, it's night and day. It's a completely different type of car. It's like literally, it's a different type of car. I enjoyed it today. It was a nice comparison being in that car compared to mine. I mean, I still love my car, but yeah, Ab's car is just lost for words. Anyway, guys, we made it to over the 1,000 subscribers mark. Thank you so much for helping me achieve that. Let's try and get to the next milestone, which is 5,000. I'll keep bringing the content. You guys keep subscribing, and let's roll slow together. All right? Anyway, I will see you in the next video. Take it easy. Peace.